Okay, we'll try this again. Sorry for recording. It's November the 4th, 2021, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, the Stellarton Police Commission meeting. Before I start, for the viewers, I'll introduce everyone. And we have Inspector Pond up front. In front of Inspector Pond is CAO Susan Higdon. On my left is Commissioner Susan Campbell. On the machine, calling in is Commissioner Kevin Mason and Chief Mark Hobeck. On the other side is Brian Atkinson. Next to Brian is Nancy Terrace. And next to Nancy is Mayor or Danny McGilvery. So we'll start, and I'll ask first if somebody can move to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Moved by Nancy, second Nancy, Commissioner Terrace, seconded by Commissioner Campbell. You all heard the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Commissioner Mason, it was an aye as well. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion? Is there any additions to the minutes? The only addition I'm going to make, and we'll put it under 5A, is the mental health crisis. We had a meeting there yesterday. I just want to go over it because it pertains to our police department. We'll add that as 5A.
Just to clarify, that's in addition to the agenda or addition to the minutes?
Addition to the agenda.
Okay, that was just approved as is.
Okay.
You can still add it, but just for clarification.
Thanks for straightening me out.
No problem.
No, we talked about approval of minutes.
Right, and you had said you wanted to add mental health.
We're going to add 5. We're going to add medical health.
Yeah, to the agenda, not to the minutes.
To the agenda, I'm sorry, we already went through that. Thanks for straightening me out.
No problem.
Approval of minutes.
I move motion that we approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
Moved by Commissioner Atkinson, seconded by Commissioner Terrace. You've all heard the motion. Ready for the question? All in favor? Contrary minded? And I got an aye from Commissioner Kevin Mason. Business arising. Is there anything that in the minutes there that you'd like to discuss? Is there anything up? Bylaws and mufflers. How are we getting? I don't know. Is there any movement made on the noise? Inspector Pond, do you know?
I know the chief was looking into getting a decibel reader, but I don't know what the status is of it.
Chief, do we have a decibel reader?
We do, and there's been quite a bit of discussion relating to that from other agencies around the province as well, where they had some concerns before about the towns creating bylaws to deal specifically with things that could be dealt with by the Motor Vehicle Act. And I understand last week, and I think I have the email here somewhere, there's been some changes to the Act with respect to that. So I think probably by the next commission meeting, I'll be able to have a better report on that. It just came out the other day, the changes. Basically, what other agencies have been doing is enforcing the section, I think it's 188 or something of the Motor Vehicle Act, pertaining specifically to equipment and mufflers, et cetera. And the issues they were having around the decibel readers was training and the ability to testify in court that it's a true and 100% accurate reading of the decibel level of the muffler. So it's something that's going around the province. It's just not unique to our town. And it's only recently there's been some changes. So I think once that flushes out a little bit, we'll be able to have a little bit of a better idea of where we go with it.
That's good to know if it's province-wide. We're not the only ones getting hit with it, so we should get some support.
Absolutely. We're not the only police agency either dealing with the discussion around whether it should be a town bylaw or the Motor Vehicle Act or a combination of both. So it is something that is ongoing.
Okay. Good, thank you. Is there any other business arising? Okay. So we can move on to monthly activity report. there any questions in the monthly activity report?
Chair, Kevin here.
Yes.
I noticed there was one assault peace officer charged late. Is the peace officer okay?
Can you answer that, Chris?
Yes.
Yes, Inspector Pond said yes, he's okay, Kevin, or she's
Okay.
okay, the case may be, yeah.
Good.
Any other questions on the activity, monthly activity report?
Just to talk on it, as you can see, our numbers are still quite high, like closing in on 250. But the biggest thing we've seen in the last month has been thefts. If you go over to, we had 20 thefts under 5,000, 2 thefts over 5,000, 2 thefts of motor vehicles, 3 thefts of gasoline, thefts of credit cards. That's our biggest issue now, is thefts. And again, with some of the scoring, whether it be the gasoline and the theft under it, I mean, they could probably slide over from one section to the next, but that's the bulk of everything we're seeing now is everything from catalytic converters to chocolate bars to credit cards to debit cards. It's steady. We're dealing with that every shift now.
So what's with this converters, the catalytic converters, what's the reason they're stealing them?
Big money. People are cutting them off, and I realized our town had some of the public works catalytic converters, I think three vehicles.
Is that right?
But they can cut a catalytic converter off and get between $600, $900 to.
They're worth more than literal gold.
Was that right? What, are they selling for scrap, or?
Yeah, 3D is taking them as well as some other scrap metal places, but what they're happening, we had some taken right out of dealerships down at the Toyota garage, Anchor Toyota. They're just going under with a battery powered recip saw, cutting them off in the parking lots and turning them in. But they're worth several $100s each because of the precious metals.
Right.
I know there's platinum and there's a few other. Yeah, there's a few precious metals in there that are worth really big money.
So if there's a dealer buying them, there's a question there. I mean, somebody comes in and are they not questioning it?
No, and there's nothing that mandated. I think I was reading up a few weeks ago, I don't know if it was Manitoba, they're creating some form of an act, or I guess they're taking names now when people are turning converters in because there's no numbers on them, they're just cutting them off and there's no way to say that these came from, the Toyota garage or the Ford garage, but I was speaking with, I believe it was the mechanic up at Town Works, he was saying a lot of dealerships now are spray painting them so that they know that the one with the green paint mark, if they're brand new and they're coming in, they know which dealership they came from, but no, there's nothing. But that's an issue, not just here, that's all over, because it's easy money and it's big money.
You must be shipping them out of town because, I mean, if somebody's going into a dealership with 3 or 4 catalytic converters 3 or 4 times a week, I mean, hey, what's going on? Yeah.
Is it the same group of people, or is it just all?
It's hard to say. Everybody's got a mask on. It's always late at night, and it's identification's our biggest thing because everyone has masks now, and it's not uncommon for anyone to have it, so you don't question it, right? But yeah, I would assume it's probably the same group, but again, I also found out that some of our dealerships don't have a camera outside either, which makes things difficult too, right?
All right, is there any other questions to the activity report? So I guess we'll need a motion to accept it.
I'll make a motion to accept the activity reports.
No, second it.
Motion to accept the activity report by Commissioner Nancy Terra, second by Commissioner Brian Atkinson. All heard the motion. All in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Speed limit from the HRM. Donnie Taylor sent me an email here a while ago, and apparently HRM has been granted the ability to set speed limits at certain areas of the town. What I would like to do is have a letter again. We got a new government. We got a new minister in there. I'd like to send a letter off to them again, requesting, that they empower the communities with the ability to set their own speed limits. I know the government is, and we talked to some of them on a lot of stuff, they're referring back to the town, we're giving the town the ability in different areas to make their own bylaws and laws, and we just talked about one of them before, so if we could send it forward. I did approach our local MLA, he's been very good, and speak at something here in a minute, but he's been very good in helping us. One of the things that he did help us with was our provincial rep. I talked to him the other day, and he said he had approached the minister, pulled the minister aside, and he said he wanted something done. He said he wanted it done for Stellarton. We've been waiting too long. So I'd like to get a motion, if you all feel inclined to do so, and send a letter off again to them. Now, if the speed limits were posted, I would have to look at that. That would go back to the traffic authority. So that would probably be in the hands of the chief. We could recommend to him, but it would be ultimately up to the chief if he felt it was necessary or not.
On this paper, it says the MVA allows for the municipality to request posted speed limits below 50 kilometers if accompanied by necessary documentation, including current operating speeds and roadway characteristics.
Yeah,
So maybe that's
and-
something we need to, if
Yeah.
we're sending a letter, we need to add that.
Yeah, basically one of the things that has happened before, and as the chief spoke about it, was in Halifax, they had to go and they had to lay out give reasons. It still went back to the minister to give them the ability. For example, we'll just say Old Foxbrook Road, right, in that area. They had to make a petition to the governor, and the governor looked at it and sanctioned it and sent back and said, yeah, okay, in Old Foxbrook Road, but they had to say whys and the wherefores and do a study and everything on it. Not that we wouldn't do the same thing ourselves. But thank you, Commissioner Campbell, for the information. So,
I'll make a motion to write that letter.
and you want to put that in there, Susan? Yeah, okay. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second it. Who's the letter going to, the province?
We go to the Department of Transportation, I would imagine, that's the ones, whoever's responsible, who's the Department of Transportation, yeah.
So we'll wait until we get the necessary documentation first, or what do you think?
Well, I'll leave that up to, maybe, Inspector Pond and, CAO can look into that and see what's required. Are you guys okay with that? And, send a letter off, you okay with that?
Sounds good.
You've all heard the motion? Questions? I guess we just had one. All in favor? And Commissioner Mason agrees. Motion carried. That's, the other one I'm going to, 5A I talked about is mental health crisis. I was asked there a while ago to join an ad hoc committee on the mental health. The mayors and the wardens have a regular meeting, and they had a subcommittee. Ad hoc committee was made up of three: the mayor from Pictou, Jim Ryan, and mayor from Glasgow, Nancy Dix, and the county warden, Robert Parker. And they asked to get a representative from the other town, so I was asked to go on it. I guess I spoke out about it at a meeting with Sean. And there's Michelle Bragg from Westville, and Don Husher from Trenton. So we invited the police from each department in yesterday's sit because we wanted to hear what their concerns were on the mental health. And when we had a meeting with the representatives or from the mental health division, the doctors and that, they told us there really wasn't a need for a mental health unit here in Pictou County. And anyway, of course, we didn't agree with that. But before you go before the government, you really need facts. You need the facts before you can present them, right? One of the problems, and Chris probably will speak on that, is a lot of the cases are mental health cases, but they don't go down. They're not coded as mental health because, okay, somebody is having a mental health crisis. They hit somebody, their wife or their kids or whatever, and the police are called in, and they're coded under domestic violence. So it doesn't come off as mental health. So we had a meeting, the RCMP were there, and each one of the chiefs, Chris was out of town, he had an appointment, and of course Mark's in Halifax, but was well represented. Chris Irving was there, and spoke on behalf of Stellarton. And one of the things that we drew from it, yes, they said we do have mental health issues here. We do need a unit here, and we do need 24/7 coverage. So there's a breakdown. From the police's perspective, from a police perspective, they have to go into a situation, and if they're not prepared or trained, well, you're going in with handcuffs and whatever have you, and that's sort of inflating, I guess, the situation. So they come up, and it was interesting. Westwell Police Chief mentioned that in 1980, if you went in with a mental health crisis into the hospital, it was like 2 to 3 hour turnaround. Now it's 12, 14, and they give you a couple of pills and send you home. So we have a meeting set up on the 18th with the new Department of Mental Health, and we're going to sit down and discuss that, all the representatives from the town. But it was interesting in some of the stuff to come up, and this here crisis is right across Nova Scotia, but here in particular in Pictou County, we've been misused. I feel very strongly about that. Our detox was taken out, and our mental health unit was taken out. But the new government has set up a new department for mental health crisis along with a new minister, and they're bringing the detox back to the hospital. So there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel here. So we did have a very productive meeting, and they all had a chance to speak. We were there for 2 hours, actually, and it was an open discussion. Also, if you remember, Katie O'Farrell and the other lady that was with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were there as well, and they brought up some of the things that happen. Anybody if you go to the Aberdeen, you're going to be triaged, and most likely the triage is going to send you home. And I'm not reflecting on the people that work there. It's the system, right? Systemic. And then if you were lucky, fortunate enough to get sent to Truro, you're going to be there. You're going to be triaged again. And then if you get a chance to get in to see a psychiatrist, whatever, you're there for a couple of weeks and you're gone. They kick you out because we need more beds, right? Once you go out, then you're kind of floating on your own. So what happens? And so we've got instances here in Stellarton that we know, I suppose Chris knows well too, is that, you know, the system didn't work and there was lives taken. We talked about a 9-year-old, you know, that had a life taken and so forth and so on. So the police and their information was very constructive. But anyway, that's the report on it. I don't know, Chris, is there anything that you want to add to it from a policing perspective? Mark, is there anything you want to say?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, we tried to provide statistics as best we could. And like you said, they're not 100% accurate to what we deal with. But, you know, I think if you ask any officer in Pictou County what their experience with it, they could probably share some stories that put a bit of a better understanding to how our day goes sometimes. But it's really difficult to reflect that and share just the numbers to get an appreciation of what it's like. So it's encouraging that they're opening discussion and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So that is good news from that perspective for sure.
There was one other thing, and we couldn't answer the question. Of course, Kristen wasn't sure of it, but through the RCMP, there's a training course that's coming up for officers. Do we have our officers going there, do you know? It's in Halifax, and it's dealing with mental health issues and being trained in that type of thing. Chief, are you aware of that?
Yes, well, I'm aware of the one that they've been planning for months and months now. It's crisis intervention training, and it's modeled after a program that was run a few years back in Halifax, and I don't know where that one came from, if it was taken from another province or what have you, but it's basically a 4 or 5 day course with speakers from involved in the mental health process, from doctors to intake workers to other folks as well. And it's to give people a bit of better understanding of the system and get them trained in a little bit better dealing with people in crisis. The one they're planning here, I don't know where, haven't been in the last couple of meetings, but I'm not sure if they finalized the date and the location yet, but basically we've been allotted one spot on it, so, in fact, we could have one of our officers attend. So I think there's another meeting, next week, which I'll be able to attend. They're all Zoom meetings, and the last one was a better idea, where and when, but we do have one spot, on it.
Okay, one of the, and I brought up about the question, was it a money issue? And it basically boils down to numbers, and they can only train so many at a time, because what they're saying is to be effective and have a basic good training, they want to keep it down to a certain number. So it's good to know, because it sounds like a good course that we could evolve all our officers through, actually, start with one and then run them all through it. But I believe, and I should have taken better notes, but it is a course that came out of somewhere else. I think it's in Ontario. And yeah, you're right. That's the one they're talking about. It's in Halifax, or they're taking it to Halifax. But the training session is supposed to be pretty good, though, and it would help if there is a mental health case, that when our officers respond, that you have one on call, or somebody that's trained that can do the intervention. Okay.
Yeah, I think part of the issue with the numbers is, part of the course is you do some role play and some one-on-one handling of situations where you have one of either actors or one of your classmates act as a person in crisis and just try to use some of the skills you've been taught the previous couple of days. So logistically, having, running 50 or 100 people through that it's just not practical to do.
Right.
So, and part of it too, I think there's a visit to the forensic unit in Burnside, with the intake for people with mental health crisis. So again, to have large numbers, it's just not practical to do that. So I think they're trying to keep it below 30, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there.
That's correct. Yeah, there's so many officers from each unit going there. And Halifax, they said Halifax does have some training, and the RCMP have some people that are trained as well.
Just on that, Brian, I found out some information that may help somewhat. It's called an incident report that you get from the hospital if somebody's over there and say 2 or 3 hours waiting and they sent them home. That person, it has to be the person though, that can request an incident report. And then they can send that to the health authority in Halifax. And it's not just mental health, it could be anything like treat it bad. You can even put good reports in too if you treat it good. That gives them the information, and I asked my doctor about it. He said if the people do that, that will help this hospital immensely. It's called an incident report, and you just go in, and it has to be the person, like if maybe my brother had an issue, I could talk him into going in and ask for the report and get it and send it in there. If he was waiting 10 hours there to get treated or something like that, and my doctor said that if you do that, it'll really help.
That's good to know.
Yeah, he said, the person that told me about this said a lot of people in Pictou County aren't aware of this. And he told me about it, so I followed up and checked it out. And sure enough, they have to give you that incident report from the hospital.
Is there any other questions on the mental crisis, or Chief, you want to ask when he's on the phone? Everybody's good? Okay, we'll move on to the Stellarton Police Service Strategic Plan updates. I guess that's you, sir.
Just the three priorities for the strategic plan. The first one being a modern facility. There's nothing to update on that. And just for letter C, upgrade and improve technology, we will be going in camera to discuss that update from Commissioner Mason.
In camera. So that's everything for,
I don't know if there's anything about the volunteer programs.
I don't know. I know with Sergeant Venus had put some stuff out to recruit some more for like the youth program. That's about it.
And it is starting back up.
It is, yeah. I know it was put out on our Facebook. I think the town's Facebook maybe. But
did you get any takers?
I'm not sure. I know it was put out, but I don't know who, if any, that got.
Okay.
I don't think it was put up very long ago, a week or two
I
ago.
think, if I could just interject there for a second.
Go ahead, Chief.
They had 9 at the first meeting, and a couple more showing interest, so he's pretty pleased with progress so far. It looks like could be at least a dozen in the program or more.
Good, good. 9, that's good numbers. 2 more, 11. Well, that's good. I'm sorry, Mayor, did you want to say something?
No, the chief covered it there.
Okay. You say the upgrades, improvement technology, that's going to go in camera? Okay, good. So is there any other discussion? Is there anything anybody would like to bring up or talk about? Any topics before we?
I was just wondering if we get an update in the chief's health.
Chief, how are you doing?
Oh, it's getting camera.
Good. I don't know that I'll ever do any competitive dancing again, but it's getting better, better day by day, so.
Did you dance before?
No.
Okay. You know what I told you, you don't come back till you're better. Everybody's heard me here.
Yep. I know.
All right.
I have the Cadillac at Walker, so it's really quite impressive.
Was it motorized?
No, I wait, that's gonna be in next year's budget,
Okay, all right. All right, is there any other? I'll ask for somebody to go.
I'll make a motion.
Meeting's adjourned.
adjourn,
Next meeting, December the 2nd.